that are happening. Kind of some disturbing things that are happening. But we're feeling that way because we're here. We're on the border. We're a border county. But down in Nebraska, they don't see anything going on. Arizona does, of a different nature. Well, what has been happening? Are you all familiar with the environmental meeting in Naples of a couple of weeks ago? Well, we are up here, but the rest of the country isn't. Two interesting things out of that. Number one, and I'll call it a wall, because it will become a wall. If it's a fence first, it'll become a wall. But a barrier is going to be erected from Maine to the Pacific Ocean in Washington along the entire 4,000-mile stretch on the Canadian border. Now, why would anybody do that? To keep the hordes from coming across the border into the United States? Well, we aren't keeping the hordes coming across the southern border into the United States, but that's good because that's chaos. And it works to the Bolsheviks' advantage. Well, then if you're not keeping people from coming in, what's the only other alternative? To keep people from going out. Well, who wants to leave? Well, a lot of people might want to leave. Like the Berlin Wall, there were a lot of people wanting to get out of East Germany into West Berlin. There wasn't a lot of, well, there were people going across to visit relatives, but there wasn't anybody rushing into East Berlin to make it their home. Then we have a little, and I talk to people, without mentioning names because I don't want to get them into trouble. I talk to people, and we have the 3 Mile Fortress, some people are calling it. Some strange construction going on there, but I am told, and I accept it, it's close enough, if it's 100% off. 15 years ago, we had 3 Border Patrol here, and they arrested about 300 people a year. After 9/11, that number has increased to 30. They aren't increasing the arrests at all. But governments always grow. Any reason for growth is always good for governments, and I come from governments, so I can attest to that. But this facility over here, although they say they're not going to be adding any personnel there, it's more than adequate for a lot more personnel. Plus, they have their own detention facilities, plus who knows what. So we have a station here. Now that can reach over to Montana, and it can reach over to Colville. Now we know where Colville, Washington is. It's right over the mountains. The only problem is we can't drive right over the mountains. We got to go all the way south and then come back. Another one at Colville. Colville's about 50 miles over. I guess they could come to the Washington line, and 3 Mile Fortress could go over to the Washington, and that's about 25 miles each way. Now, there's another one at Oroville in Washington. Oroville is on the border, and it's 50 miles farther from Colville. So we have 50, 50, 50. It's 22 acres facility. Now, 22 acres is a lot of acres. I don't know what the federal government needs to build a fortress for 22 acres on. I don't know. My point is, I don't know what's going on because I just haven't had time to check. I don't know if it's continuing on 2 more stations and you'll make it to the Pacific, and they're going to go in Montana and North Dakota and Minnesota and that. I don't know. But we know they're telling us they're building a fence, and we know now that they're putting these stations with detention facilities along the way. And I want to say, I do not describe to most conspiracy theorists that are around. I'm talking about actual physical structures that I can see and touch and make it, and listening to the government say what they're for, and I can then form an opinion. I've gone about through the first and the I've gone through the first and a lot of the second portion of the book. The third portion is now fiction. It's looking forward. What if all of this happens? What does that mean for us? It means, as we were talking, it means detention camps. Absolutely, gulags are necessary in a United States Socialist Republic under the Bolsheviks. Absolutely. And we'll talk about that in a minute, very quickly.